Good evening to all. Welcome back to the TCS Academy for Competition. So, dear friends, today in this session, I will take you through a very important topic of the day, that is sectors of the economy, right? So, in an economy, we do find basically the three sectors. One is primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. Clear? Okay. So now, let's begin the session. Okay. So, as I mentioned, here we discuss now the different sectors of the economy. Sectors of the economy, right? Sectors of an economy. Okay. So, dear friends, before going to analyze the different sectors that we do find in every economy, let's understand what is an economy, right? What is an economy? Right? Okay. What do you understand by economy? Or what is economy? So, dear friends, any system, a system, let's understand the definition of an economy. A system in which people earn their living. Okay, earn their living. Okay, so by performing different economic activities. Yeah. So let's understand the definition of an economy. Economy is a system in which people earn their living by performing number of economic activities. Is it clear? An economy refers to the entire collection of production units. Entire the collection of production units, we call it as economy. Economy is nothing but there is a geographical area in which the people are undertaking number of economic activities for their living. That particular region, that particular geographical area, we call it as an economy. Is that clear? Okay. Now, very simple. Economy is a system in which the people earn their living by performing different economic activities. Okay. For example, we call Indian economy, right? Indian economy. We call Japanese economy. Japanese economy we call the US economy. We call the Australian economy. Australian economy. Okay, is that clear? An economy is a system in which the people earn their living by performing different economic activities. For example, entire region in which the people perform different economic activities, that particular region we call it as economy. Is that clear? Okay. For example, American economy, Japanese economy, Indian economy, right? Being an economic student, so we do not call Indian economy, we do not call country India, country USA. No. The economic system in which the people earn for their living by performing number of economic activities. Entire region in which the people are undertaking the different economic activities. Those economic activities which are undertaken in a particular region, collectively we call it as economy. Is that clear? Yeah. Okay. So now, so let's move on to the core concept that we have taken up today for the discussion, right? India's economic sector. Economic sectors. Economic sectors. Clear? Yeah. So this is the core topic that we have taken for discussion, right? So we have basically the classification of different sectors. Number one, on the basis of activities undertaken by the people, on the basis of economic activities undertaken by the people, so we classified the different sectors in an economy, right? Okay. Number one, primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. And so we have subsectors of tertiary sector, we call it as different sectors. Okay, yeah. Tertiary sector basically can be classified into different subsectors of an economy, right? So that is subsectors of tertiary sector. So one is quaternary activities. Quaternary sector, and second one is quinary sector, and other sectors that we could able to see, right? Okay. So on the basis of the work condition, on the basis of the work condition, we classify sectors of the economy into two parts. One is organized sector, unorganized sector. Clear? On the basis of the work condition, different sectors we have created. One is organized sector and unorganized sector. So one more classification we have on the basis of the asset ownership. on the basis of asset ownership. On the basis of asset ownership, we have classified the different sectors into two sectors. One is public sector and private sector. Okay. So dear friends, so India's economic sectors. So we have different sectors in an economy on the basis of the activities undertaken by the people in the particular region. So we are going to classify the economic sectors into three divisions. One is primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. The tertiary sector again has classified into two. So those tertiary subsectors are quaternary sector and quinary sector. One more classification we have, that is under the work condition. On the basis of the work condition, we have organized sector and unorganized sector. On the basis of the asset ownership, we have two sectors in an economy. One is public and private. Okay. So let's discuss one by one in detail. Okay. Yeah. So basically there are three basic classifications that we do have in economy. That is called primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. Now let's move on to understanding these three sectors. Additionally, we have different subsectors. Okay, so later on, let's have a look on other sectors, other classifications of different sectors. Okay, so now let's begin the session understanding the first and foremost important sector in an economy, that is called food sector. Okay, so that is, we call it as primary sector. Primary sector. Primary sector. Okay. Any activities would be undertaken by the people of the country, the people of one region, by exploiting the natural resources, right? By exploiting the natural resources. By exploiting the natural resources. Natural resources. Okay. Any activities which are undertaken by the people in a particular region by exploiting, by utilizing, by using the natural resources. Again, the question arises, what are natural resources? Natural resources, those resources which are given as a gift by the nature. Okay, the nature itself has given some gifts to the humankind. So those resources which could be called as natural resources, right? Air, water, land. Is it clear? Air, water, land. So these are the basic natural resources. By utilizing these basic natural resources, we human being, we are undertaking number of economic activities. That those particular economic activities we take up by exploiting the natural resources which are free gifts of nature. Yeah. And basically the people who are engaged in such economic activities, okay, so they could be considered red collar workers, right? They are considered as red collar workers. Red collar workers. Okay, understanding the concept very clearly. So why this, the people who are engaged in the primary sector could be called red collar workers due to the outdoor nature of the work. Okay, so due to the outdoor nature of the work of the people who are engaged in a primary sector, so therefore we call those workers who are working in a primary sector, they're all red collar worker. So let's take up some of the examples of primary sector. So one is agriculture and allied activities, agriculture and allied sector. Number two, forestry. Number two, forestry, fishing, mining, quarrying, farming, logging, hunting, dairy activities. Okay, so all these activities which have taken under the primary sector. Okay, so dear friends, primary sector in which the people are working, and we call them as red collar worker. Why? Because due to the outdoor nature of their work, we call them as red collar workers. Okay, the activities which are undertaken by the people in this sector by exploiting the nature, by exploiting the natural resources, so they undertake number of economic activities. Okay, for example, agriculture, farming, forestry, mining, fishing, hunting, dairy farming, quarrying, logging, all these activities which come under the primary sector. Is that clear? Yeah. Let's move on to the second important sectors of an economy. So that is called as secondary sector. Sorry. Secondary sector. Secondary sector. So dear friends, secondary sector, we call it as manufacturing sector. Is it clear? All types of manufacturing activities which are undertaken by the people comes under the secondary sector. Okay, so now let's understand the formal definition of secondary sector. All economic activities under which raw materials are converted into finished goods. Okay, raw materials are extracted, and those raw materials which are converted into finished products. Okay, inputs are transformed into outputs. So that particular sector we call it as secondary sector. Okay, so basically, so here all types of manufacturing activities, all types of manufacturing activities we take together and we call it as secondary sector. Okay, any economic activities under which the raw materials are extracted and those raw materials are converted into finished products. Okay, so manufacturing sector, which could be called as secondary sector. So basically this secondary sector, the people who are engaged in a secondary sector, so they call as blue collar workers. Blue collar workers, right? Okay. So why the people who are engaged in a secondary sector could be called as blue collar workers? Because they do not go out for their work. So within the prescribed region or the place where they do some physical activities, some not strong, okay, with light physical activities with which, so they produce number of goods and services, conversion of raw materials into the finished goods. So that would be taken place in the manufacturing sector. All types of manufacturing sector, we call it as secondary sector. For example, electricity production, electricity, natural gas, water supply, construction, all these activities which comes under secondary sector. Okay, I repeat once again, all types of manufacturing activities undertaken by the people, so those activities which comes under the manufacturing sector or secondary sector. Okay, so basically the people engaged in the different manufacturing activities, so we call them as blue collar worker, because they do not go out for their work. So within the particular region, okay, so with the limited physical activities, so they do produce number of items, right? Electricity production is happening. Okay, all types of manufacturing activities. It may be that is government factory or iron and steel factory, chemical fertilizer factory. Okay, all types of manufacturing activities. Okay, natural gas production, water supply, and construction work. All these activities we take under the secondary sector. Is that clear? Yeah. So let's move on to another important, the classification of sectors. One that is called very important sector in the modern times, that is called tertiary sector. Tertiary sector. Right? Okay. All of the economic activities where services are produced, services are rendered. Okay, all type of economic activities where services are produced, services are meant, services are given, services are created. Okay, such activities which call it as tertiary sector. So this tertiary sector, the service sector, okay. So for example, hospitality sector, hospitality industry, hospital industry, okay, hospitality industry, restaurant and picnic spots and hotel. All these comes under the hospitality industry. Hospitals and education, medical field, trade and commerce, repair activities, and broadcasting. All such activities which come under the tertiary sector, right? Education, okay? Banking, insurance, okay? Banking, insurance, medical, trade and commerce, export and import business, service providers, some repair workers, and even the people who are working in the broadcasting. Okay, all these people who are engaged in different economic activities, like in the hospitality sector we find the people, okay, in hospitality sector like hotel, so they render number of services to the people. Hospital industry, education where we get the professor services, okay, teacher services. Banking, the banking services which are rendered to the customers. Medical services, doctors who render their services to the sick. And transport and communication, okay, and external sectors and repair sector, broadcasting, all these activities which comes under the tertiary sector. As I mentioned, maximum activities which we do find under the tertiary sector, because any economic activities which we call it as intangible in nature, intangible in nature, okay. So therefore it may be hotel, it may be trade, it may be restaurant, transport and communication, storage services, financial services, insurance services, banking sector, real estate, business services, contracting business, community services, social services, personal services, any other services which we take, which we call it as intangible in nature. So therefore the people who are engaged in such economic activities, we call them as white collar workers, right? White collar workers, because they do work with their knowledge. Clear? With their knowledge. So therefore the services which are rendered by the different people in the tertiary sector, so we call them as white collar workers or white collar jobs. Is that clear? Yeah. So these are the basic services we do find in the different economic system. In any economic system, we do find these are the basic sectors of the economy. Yeah? Yeah. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಅರ್ಥ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ರಂಗಗಳು ಇನ್ ಎನ್ ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಚರ್, ನಾವು ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ವಲಯಗಳನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಸ್ಟ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ವಾಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಎನ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿ. ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಜನಾಂಗ, ದ ಪೀಪಲ್ ಅಂತ ನಾವೇನ್ ಕರಿತೀವಿ, ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಎಕನಾಮಿಕ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ದಟ್ ಪರ್ಟಿಕ್ಯುಲರ್ ರೀಜನ್, ಆ ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಸ್ ದಟ್ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಓಕೆ, ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಭೂ ಪ್ರದೇಶವನ್ನೇ ನಾವು ಏನಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ? ಎಕಾನಮಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಭಾರತದ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, ದಿ ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯನ್ ಎಕಾನಮಿ, ಆಸ್ಟ್ರೇಲಿಯನ್ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, US ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ, ಜಪಾನ್ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆ. ಈಸ್ ದ ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಇದು ನಮ್ಮ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯ ಮೀನಿಂಗ್, ಡೆಫಿನೇಷನ್. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳ ಆಧಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಈ ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಅವರವರು ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ 3 ವಲಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಥಮಿಕ ವಲಯ, ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಿಕ ವಲಯ ಮತ್ತು ಟರ್ಷಿಯರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ತೃತೀಯ ವಲಯ. ಓಕೆ, ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಲವಾರು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ 3 ವಲಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ಗುರುತಿಸ್ತೇವೆ. ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾಥಮಿಕ, ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಿಕ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ತೃತೀಯ, ಟರ್ಷಿಯರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಓಕೆ, ಟರ್ಷಿಯರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೂ 2 ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ನೋಡ್ತೇವೆ ನಾವು, ಕ್ವಾಟರ್ನರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ವೀನರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಅಪ್ ದೀಸ್ 2 ಇನ್ ದ ಲೇಟರ್ ಸೆಷನ್. ನಾವು ವರ್ಕ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್, ಆ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಯಾವ ವರ್ಕ್ ಕಂಡೀಷನ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅದರ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ಡ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್, ಅನ್ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ಡ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಸಂಘಟಿತ ವಲಯ, ಅಸಂಘಟಿತ ವಲಯ, ಅದು ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲಾಸಿಫಿಕೇಶನ್. ಅಸೆಟ್ ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ನ ಆಧಾರದ ಮೇಲೆ, ಓಕೆ, ದೇಶದ ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಹಲವಾರು ಬಿಸ್ನೆಸ್ ಇದಾವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಸಂಪತ್ತನ್ನು ಸರ್ಕಾರ ತನ್ನ ಹಿಡಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೆ, ಕೆಲವೊಂದು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳನ್ನು ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಹಿಡಿತದಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಆ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಯಿಂದ ನಾವು ಇಡೀ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆನ್ ದ ಬೇಸಿಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಅಸೆಟ್ ಓನರ್ಶಿಪ್ ನಾವು ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ವಲಯ ಮತ್ತು ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ವಲಯ. ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ವಲಯ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು? ಪಬ್ಲಿಕ್ ವಲಯ. ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರೈವೇಟ್ ಇಂಡಿವಿಜುವಲ್ಸ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸೊ ಹೀಗೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಒಂದು ವಲಯಗಳನ್ನು ಹಲವಾರು ರೀತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಭಾಗ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೇವೆ. ಸ್ನೇಹಿತರೆ, ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್, ಪ್ರಾಥಮಿಕ ವಲಯ. ಓಕೆ, ನೈಸರ್ಗಿಕ ಸಂಪನ್ಮೂಲಗಳನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಬಳಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಆ ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರು ಹಲವಾರು ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆರ್ಥಿಕ ಚಟುವಟಿಕೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಜನರು ಒಂದು ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಪ್ರೈಮರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಸಾಮಾನ್ಯವಾಗಿ ರೆಡ್ ಕಾಲರ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಓಕೆ, ಯಾವ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಓಕೆ ವ್ಯವಸಾಯ ಮತ್ತು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲವಾರು ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರಗಳು, ಡೈರಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಸಾಕಾಣಿಕೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕೃಷಿ, ಕ್ವಾರಿಂಗ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸು, ಮೈನಿಂಗ್, ಫಿಶರಿ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸು, ಫಾರೆಸ್ಟ್ ಆಕ್ಟಿವಿಟೀಸ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅದರ್ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಅಲೈಡ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಯಾವೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಈ ಅಗ್ರಿಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಬಂಧಪಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲರೂ ನಾವು ರೆಡ್ ಕಾಲರ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೇವೆ. ಯಾಕಪ್ಪ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ದೇ ಗೋ ಔಟ್ ಫಾರ್ ದೇರ್ ವರ್ಕ್, ಮನೆ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರು ದುಡಿತಾರೆ. ಆ ಒಂದು ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಕಾರ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಾವು ರೆಡ್ ಕಾಲರ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಮಾಧ್ಯಮಿಕ ವಲಯ, ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್, ಎಲ್ಲ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಸ್ತುಗಳನ್ನು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರ. ಸೊ ಇಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಜಬಲ್. ವಿ ಕಾಲ್ ಇಟ್ ಆಸ್ ಟ್ಯಾಂಜಬಲ್. ಓಕೆ, ಎಲೆಕ್ಟ್ರಿಸಿಟಿ ಪ್ರೊಡಕ್ಷನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಗ್ಯಾಸ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ವಾಟರ್ ಸಪ್ಲೈ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಕನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಓಕೆ, ಆಲ್ ಟೈಪ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಮ್ಯಾನುಫ್ಯಾಕ್ಚರಿಂಗ್ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ಕನಿಷ್ಠ ಮಟ್ಟದ ದೈಹಿಕ ಶ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ಔಟ್ಪುಟ್ ಆಗಿ ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಇನ್ಪುಟ್ಸ್, ಫಾರ್ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಶುಗರ್ ಕೇನ್. ಶುಗರ್ ಕೇನ್ ಇಸ್ ಅ ಇನ್ಪುಟ್. ಕಬ್ಬು ಇನ್ಪುಟ್. ಓಕೆ, ಸಕ್ಕರೆ ಮತ್ತು ಬೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ತಯಾರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಕಬ್ಬಿನಿಂದ. ಇಂತಹ ಕೆಲಸ ಕಾರ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೆಲ್ಲ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ತೊಡಗಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ನಾವು ಬ್ಲೂ ಕಾಲರ್ ವರ್ಕರ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಮಿನಿಮಮ್ ಫಿಸಿಕಲ್ ವರ್ಕ್. ಓಕೆ, ದೇ ಡೂ ಅಂಡ್ ಪ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ನಂಬರ್ ಆಫ್ ಐಟಮ್ಸ್. ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್? ಓಕೆ, ಪ್ರಮುಖವಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಲಯ ಅರ್ಥವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಟರ್ಷಿಯರಿ ಸೆಕ್ಟರ್. ನವಡೇಸ್ more people who are engaged in the service sector. Okay, hospitality industry, tourism, hotel, restaurant. So we find the people, they render number of services to the clients, to the customers. Okay, hospital, where we do find doctors who render their services to the needy, nurses, doctor service. In education, the teacher service. Okay, banking sector, all types of banks we do find they provide the banking services to the needy. Medical, transport and communication. Okay, and repair with their expertise. So they do some repairing work. Broadcasting, media, insurance. Okay, the people who are engaged in such intangible activities, we call them as white collar workers, because with their knowledge they render number of services to the needy, right? So that is the reason why we call them as white collar workers, because with their expertise they render number of services to the needy. Yeah, okay, yeah. So let's have a glance over the different sectors, how they contribute to the economy. Okay, so what is the contribution of the economy? What is the contribution of the different activities to the GDP, right? So that we are going to understand a little bit about the important data which are produced in the economic survey. Okay, yes. Now, the GDP contribution by different economic activities. Okay, so now let's have a look over the contribution given by these economic activities to the GDP. So number one, agriculture, forestry and fishing. Basically these three economic activities which contribute 3.5% to the GDP. Okay, out of 100%. Okay, agriculture, forestry and fishing. So these are the three important economic activities which contribute 3.5% to the GDP of our country. Is that clear? Yeah. Second important activities which comes under the secondary sector, that is called mining and quarrying. mining and quarrying as per the 2022-23 data. As per the data in one financial year 22 and 23. Okay, 2.4 percentage the contribution given by mining and quarrying to the GDP. Okay, now, so all types of manufacturing sector, manufacturing sector which contributes 1.6 percentage to our GDP. All these data we have taken in one financial year 22 and 23. 2022 to 2023. So in this financial year, manufacturing sector which contributes 1.6 percentage to the GDP of the country. So now, so move on to understand some of the important sectors like okay, yeah, electricity, gas, water supply, and other utility services which contribute tremendous contribution. 9 percentage of our GDP could be obtained from this activities. Okay, most of the activities which comes under the manufacturing sector like electricity, gas, water supply, and other utility services which contribute 9 percentage to the GDP. Construction activities which contribute 9.1 percentage to the GDP. Right? Okay. So next, let us take an example like trade, hotels, transportation, communication, and broadcasting. All these activities which contribute 13.7 percentage to our GDP. 13.7 percentage to our GDP. Okay, so dear friends, transport and communication, hotel, trade and commerce, broadcasting, all these activities which contribute 13.7 percentage to our GDP. Okay, so these are the different the snapshot of the Indian economy. So where we have the different activities, how those different activities are contributed towards our GDP. Okay, so now let's move on to another important concept in an economy. So that is, yes, okay, so we already covered the three sectors of the economy, right? As I mentioned earlier, under the tertiary sector, so we have different subsectors. Let's have a look on those activities which lie under tertiary sector. Okay, so we call them as subsectors of the tertiary sector, right? Subsectors, subsectors of tertiary sector. Tertiary sector. Okay, yeah. So these are the activities, as I mentioned, most of the activities which comes under the subsectors, all which are belonging to the tertiary sector only. But for our understanding, with the help of their knowledge, with the help of their advanced knowledge, the people render number of sophisticated services to the needy. So therefore, we have divided the tertiary sector into different subsectors. Among them, we have one important sector that is called as quaternary sector. Quaternary sector, quaternary activities, right? Quaternary activities, okay? So here, there are some activities which we call it as quaternary activities, like research and developmental activities, which are taking place in the colleges and with their intellectual aspects of the economy. Research and development will be happening, as I mentioned, with the help of their expertise and knowledge. The people who are engaged in the research and developmental activities, that comes under quaternary sector. Okay, research and development comes under the quaternary sector, because with their intellectual knowledge, the people render number of services who are engaged in research and developmental activities. Okay, it is a process which enable entrepreneurs to innovate and improve the quality of their services which are offered in an economy. Okay, outcome of the research and development which enable the entrepreneurs, they utilize innovative knowledge and improved knowledge, expertise. Okay, outcome of the research and development that would be utilized by the entrepreneurs, and in order to improve their quality of services and quality of products. Okay, elementary schools and university classrooms and hospitals and doctors, they engage number of their services. There also comes under quaternary sector. So offices, theaters, accountant and brokerage firms who are engaged in number of secondary activities who are also come under this sector. So like any other tertiary functions who are engaged in the quaternary activities, so it is also known as, we call it as outsourcing activities nowadays. Outsourcing activities. Outsourcing work, which is also comes under quaternary sector, right? Basically the research and development. With the help of the research and development, entrepreneurs, they innovate with the outcome of the research and development. So they are introducing the novelty into the product and bring some quality of the items which are offered for sale in the market. Okay, outsourcing services and brokerage services, all these people who are working with their knowledge. So therefore, we take all the activities comes under quaternary sector, right? Quaternary sector is a knowledge sector because it is a process which enables the entrepreneurs of the country to innovate and improve the quality of services, quality of products, bringing some novelty into the product, and they do not compromise with the quality. Okay, in the elementary schools and the university classrooms and hospitals and doctor services, all these comes under the subsectors of the tertiary sector, that is called as quaternary sector. So one more important subsector we do find in the tertiary sector, that is called as quinary sector, right? Quinary sector. So dear friends, as I mentioned, this is also one of the important subsector of this tertiary sector. Quinary sector is a part of economy where top level decision makers, they are called executives. So we call them as key managerial personnel. Okay, in an organization, right? And executives who are making efforts and taking the decisions at the top level of the government officers, like class 1 officers, IAS and assistant commissioner and deputy commissioners. Okay, the top level decision making body in the trade and commerce and industry or in the government sector. So they are come under the plenary sector. So professors who are also come under the plenary sector, so they call the work of the professors, we call it as gold collar profession. Gold collar profession. Okay, with the help of their advanced knowledge. So they render number of services to the needy, to the students, advanced learning activity which will be taking place in the university level. Okay, special and highly paid skill works, senior business executives and all the government officials who are at the top level, and research scientists and financial service providers and legal consultants, all those people who are come under the plenary sector. Okay, yes, with this we can conclude the different sectors of the economy. Okay, now, so one more important, the concept we need to have a detailed discussion in this session itself. So that is, we call it as types of economies, right? Types of economies. Types of economies. Okay? Types of economies. Types of economies. Okay. Yeah. So on the basis of development, the entire economy is divided under the two heads. One is developed economies, Number 2, developing economies. Okay, the entire globe, we call it as global economy. Global economy has been classified on the basis of the development. One is developed economies and developing economies. Okay, so we have one more classification, that is, we call it as open economy versus closed economy, right? This is also another important, the classification. On the basis of the asset ownership, so we have two more classifications of the economy, that is the public and private. Public. Okay, the government sector, we call it as public sector. All the private individuals who have undertaken a number of economic activities. Okay, on the basis of the work condition, so we have another important classification of the economy. So one is organized, second unorganized. Yeah. So one more important classification we have finally, that is household sector and external sector. Is that clear? Yeah. So now let's look into these different types of economies in a brief description one by one. Okay, and entire globe has been divided into the two economies. One is developed economies and developing economies. So we have one more classification, open economy and closed economy. So on the basis of the ownership of the assets in an economy, public sector and private sector, private economy and public economies. And so one more classification on the basis of work condition, organized economy, unorganized economy. And finally, we have two more classifications. One is household and external economies. Now let's have a look into these in a brief manner. The developed economies are those economies which have high national income and high per capita income they have, right? The economies which have high national income, high per capita income. Okay, so these economies which comes under developed economies. Okay, take an example of American economy, the UK economy, Canada economy. So we brought under this category because we do find here high standard of living. High standard of living. There is a low birth control, the low birth rate, low death rate, okay, low infant mortality rate, okay, industrial development is so high, infrastructure and all other social sector and even the secondary market which is so developed economies, right? Health and sanitary services which are excellently provided to the people who are living in this all civic amenities of life. Civic amenities are excellent, better civic amenity services which are rendered by the developed economies because it is highly educated human resource we do find in such economies. They are called developed economies. Okay, so one more classification we have, no country in the world which is stagnant in the process of development. We do not call any economy as an underdeveloped economy. No, each and every economies which are in the process of development. Therefore, okay, by living the developed economies, rest all comes under developing economies because here the low development, national income and per capita income is very low when compared to the developed economies. Backwardness of agriculture, okay, and low savings. Due to the low savings, low investment. Due to the low investment is happening because of the low capital formation. Okay, so this is the condition we call it as developing economy. Low standard of living, poor health and sanitation, and high infant mortality rate, high birth rate, high death rate, poor infrastructure, we do find in developing economies, and India is the best example under the developing economies, right? So we have another classification, that is open economy and closed economy. The economy, it has opened its economies to the rest of the world. Okay, the open economy has economic relations with the rest of the world. Such economies we call it as open economy. So there is one more economy that is called as closed economy because the economies where we do not have any economic relations of such countries with the rest of the world. Some extent we can take some of the examples like North Korea, even the Russia which is engaged in war. Okay, Russia-Ukraine war. So many economic sanctions were banned with Russia because of the declare of war against Ukraine. Okay, so North Korea is closed economy because the North Korean economy, which do not have any economic transactions to the rest of the world. Right? Most of the countries nowadays, which are open economies, right? Okay. So we have one more classification that is called organized economy and unorganized economy. Organized sector in which employment, the employment terms and conditions which are fixed and regular, okay, and such jobs which are assured work. There will be social security for the workers who are working in the organized sector. Clear? At the same time, we have unorganized sector. The people are engaged as self-employed. Okay? The wage workers who are working in unorganized sector, they do not cover any of the acts. No social security. Okay? There is no assurance of work who are working in the unorganized sector. So this is also, we have another classification, organized and unorganized. Okay, the people who are engaged in the organized sector, so they enjoy social security benefits. But as far as unorganized sector, so such facilities we do not find for the people who are working under the unorganized sector. So we have one more classification, that is called private sector and public sector. Okay, all the enterprises which are owned by the private individuals or group of private individuals, they come under private sector. Okay. Next, public sector. It is also called as government sector. This sector includes public administration, policy makers, defense, framing the laws and enforcing them in the economy. Okay, take the example of several public sector units. Okay, so like Coal India Limited, Natural Thermal Power Corporation, all these we call it as public sector. Finally, we have two important sectors. One is household sector and external sector. Household sector, where we have a group of people who normally live together and take food from a common kitchen, constitute a household sector. External sector, which consists of the people who are engaged in the export and import of goods and services. Okay, that particular activity which come under the external sector, it includes financial flow is happening from the people who are saving the money and to the needy. Okay, in the domestic country itself, so we have a secondary market, so where the people are purchasing the securities by giving their savings. The people who have saving, who are having the habit of saving the money in the banks and other financial institutions, and thereby the money is or fund or cash is flowing from the banks to the investment sector. So thus we came to an end of the session. I hope you understood the better of the different economic systems. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.